I am now live. That's what it says. I am live. I am alive. You're alive. And what a time to be alive. We are all here at the same time, same place. You could have been anywhere. You could have been doing anything. But you are here on this live. I want to congratulate you on your excellent judgment. So as y'all come in, we ready to get started. Let me pin this comment so everybody know what time it is. Everybody know what we about here today. As y'all come in, y'all know the drill. Tell me your name and location in the comment section. We're going to get into it. You are here live at Work on Your Game University. Dre all day is here. You're here. And those are only two people that matter. Ray from Playa del Rey with the first comment. Congratulations to you for the first comment. As y'all come in, tell me your name and location. We getting started in less than 60 seconds. I'm going to stop taking so much time to give people time to get in the room because y'all know what it is. Everybody knows what it is. I ain't got to take so much time to let people get in the room no more. Y'all know what's going on. Y'all know what we about here. Y'all know what we do every single time. I ain't got to waste too much time on this. We got Killian checking in. Hold on. Let me make sure I shout out people in order. Jack Ryder from Charleston, South Carolina. Shout out to South Carolina. Killian checking in from Romania. Armin from Toronto. What up? Katrina says she about to order that Work on Your Game book. Good, because I got one right here. I got one right here for you, Katrina. I'm sending it to you. So you order it, we'll send it to you. As y'all come in, listen, we getting into this soon. Any news on the new book? I mean, I got more than one new book. So I can't even answer that. I got more than one new book. Trust me. As long as I'm alive, there will always be a new book. Let's just put it like that. Every day there's going to be a new book that I'm working on. I ain't mean I'm going to put one out every day. But I always got a new book. When the new book comes out, I'm already working on the next book. That's just the way that I work. That's just the way that I grind. Pierre from Paris. Shout out to Paris. I'm trying to decide if I should buy Work on Your Game or Mirror Motivation. Well, let me help you out, Katrina. Get both of them. Go to mirrormotivation.com. And after you put in your information, when you go to the next page, I'm telling you what's going to happen. On the next page, we're going to make you an offer for Work on Your Game. So just get the Mirror Motivation. On the next page, we're going to make you an offer to get Work on Your Game, plus another book with it, and you can get both of them. So we just killed two birds, one stone. Everybody, my name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. For those of you who don't know me, a former 9-year professional athlete, author of 25 books. And trust me, it won't be 25 by the end of this year. It's going to be closer to, just stay tuned. I got more books coming before the end of this year. I've done 4 TED Talks. I'm a coach, consultant, keynote speaker, author, trainer. As I told you, athlete. I've touched over 55 million lives, all told, in my life, online at least. That's not even counting people who downloaded my stuff and share it with their friends on their phone. I don't get stats for that. I have published over 7,000 YouTube videos. I've written 7,000 articles. I put out over 1,400 podcast masterclass episodes. I have done over 1,000 of these live streams right here. And I created this whole framework that is called Work on Your Game. It's all about taking the mindset necessary to succeed in sports, where you're in the top 1% of your profession and teaching everyone, no matter what you do for a living, how to get in the top 1% of what you do, starting with the way that you think and the way that you approach your life, the mental game from the inside out. So as everybody is checking in, listen, I'm going to take all questions, all comments, all concerns at the end of this stream. But what I do here, for those of y'all who don't know, I get right into giving y'all some jewels, some serious game on a particular topic of the day. All right, and this is not random. This is not random talk that I do here. This is a specific topic that I talk about every time. You're on Instagram, you look at that pinned comment that I got at the bottom of the screen. You see what the topic is. If you're on Facebook, you see in the description where I'm talking, it tells you the title and what I'm going to be talking about here today. So everybody knows what the topic is. Shout out to everybody who is in the comment section interacting. I will take all questions and comments at the end of this stream. So for those of y'all who don't know, I told y'all Work on Your Game is the philosophy. That's the whole framework about taking the pro athlete mindset, applying it to your business, sport, and life. I'm going to give you one aspect of that framework here today. And this is something that is not in the book. What I'm about to give you here today is not in the book. So if you like this, imagine what I put in the book. If I'm giving you something that's not even in it, didn't even make it into this 250 pages. The topic here today is you need to be challenged in order to grow. If you want to get to your highest level, you want to get better. I think everybody who's listening to this wants to get better. At least if you came in and you weren't quite sure who I was, and then you heard me talk about Work on Your Game and top 1% and framework and books, and I think you pretty much decided. All right, the people who don't want to get better, the people who don't want to grow and advance, they left. All right, they came in, they listened a little bit, and they said, oh no, and then they left. All right, everybody else who's still here, I'm assuming that you want to get better and you want to step your game up in life. So what I want you to understand is that for you to get better, for you to go to that next level, you're not going to get there by remaining in your comfort zone. You're not going to get there by only doing the things that feel good to you. You're not going to get there by only doing what's comfortable for you. You're going to have to step outside of what's normal, what you're used to, what you feel like doing. You're going to have to go further than you expect to go. You're going to have to do some things that you don't think you're going to have to do. And I guarantee the path that you see in your brain of what you're going to have to do to get better is not the path that you're actually going to take. It's going to be a little bit more difficult than that. There are going to be some challenges in there, and challenge is relative, because what's challenging for you might not be challenging for me, and vice versa. What's challenging for me might be easy for you because you've done it before. But that's what we're talking about here today. Now, I want you to understand, first of all, let's get clear. The way that I like to, when I go into these topics, I'm using certain words that people can define different ways. I'm going to give you a definition. And this definition doesn't mean you have to take it, but I want you to understand that everything I talk about here today is based on the definition I'm giving you of this word challenge. Definition of challenge is a task or situation that tests someone's abilities. In order for you to get better and to grow and to advance, you must put yourself continually, or find yourself, maybe you did it, maybe somebody else did it, putting you up to a task or putting you in a situation that tests your abilities. Now, understand, a test of your abilities does not mean doing something that you already know you can do. A test of your abilities is not doing something that's easy for you. A test of your ability is not doing the same thing over and over again all the time because you already know you're good at it. Those are the things that we usually default to as human beings because, listen, we don't want to hurt ourselves. We have mechanisms within our inner workings that keep us from hurting ourselves. It's hard to strangle yourself to death. It's damn near impossible. You can strangle another person to death. You can't strangle yourself to death because you can't hold your breath until you die. You can make somebody else stop breathing until they die. You can't do it to yourself because we self-regulate to not injure ourselves. And this is the exact reason why, in order for you to be challenged to grow, it probably means you're going to have to get that challenge from somewhere outside of yourself at some point. Doesn't mean you can't challenge yourself and push yourself, but you're going to have to get some outside challenges somewhere along the line. Sometimes people ask me questions, when they ask me questions about whatever topic. Through email, DM, comments, I responded to over 2 million questions on the internet over the last 15 years. That's not an exaggeration, over 2 million. And sometimes people would get upset with me if I didn't just hand them the answer to a question. Like somebody would ask me a question like, well, Dre, I'm trying to do this. They tell me what they're trying to do. And then they say, well, I've tried a whole bunch of stuff and nothing worked. What should I do? And I would say to them something like, well, if I don't tell you what to do, if I don't give you an answer, or let's just say I never responded to this email, what would you do? And people would get mad at me for asking that question. They would get mad at me for putting the onus back on them to come up with some solutions to their own problem. And they would say, well, you're supposed to help people. And you put out these videos, and I had people cussing me out in the comment section and emails and things like that because I wouldn't just hand them the answers. But the thing is, I'm the type of person who anybody that I'm dealing with, whether we're in business together, whether we are just cool with each other, whether we're playing sports, I'm going to push you and challenge you. I'm going to find out just how far you can go. I'm going to find out how mentally tough you are. Why? Not because I'm just trying to provoke you, but because I want to find out, I want to know what you're made of. I want to know what you're about. Because I want to know if we get into battle, we get into a heated situation, not between us, but something that we got to deal with out there, I want to know what I can expect from you. I got to know I got to know how much I can call on you if necessary in the heat of the moment. Now, if I know that you're weak and you can only take this much pressure, all right, I'm not going to put you in a position to have to take more than that because I know you'll fall apart. Now, if I know you can take this much pressure, now I know I can depend on you at least to a certain point. But I need to know that about anybody that I'm going to be dealing with. And that's just the way that I look at life. And maybe that's a little bit of the athlete in me. Maybe it's a little bit of the Philadelphia in me. Who knows? But the truth is, many people have a very low IQ. And when I say IQ, I'm not talking about people being stupid. When I say IQ, I don't mean your intelligence quotient. That's what IQ stands for if you didn't know. The IQ that I'm talking about is I quit. Many people have a very low I quit. And I heard some business guy say that like 20 years ago. And what he was explaining is, how far is a person willing to go in life? Or how far can a person be pushed and challenged before they give up, before they quit? So some people's IQ, I quit, will be 2 setbacks. They decide they want to do something. They say they want to be a basketball player. I want to play in the NBA. They're 16 years old. They decide they want to play in the NBA. They try out for the high school team, don't make it. Try out for the local team, don't make it. Those 2 setbacks, they quit. Their IQ was 2 setbacks. Now somebody else's IQ might be 10 setbacks. So they try out for the high school, don't make it. Local team, don't make it. Then 8 other things happen. A whole bunch of other things happen. They all setback after setback. But even after 9 setbacks, they keep going. They keep pushing. They keep trying. They got some successes mixed in and all that, but they keep going. They keep pushing past all those setbacks. They get all the way up to 9 setbacks and they're still going. That's what it means to have that's a higher IQ. Now, some people's IQ is unlimited. You can't even find it. They face setback after setback, after challenge, after things not working, and this not working, and that not working, and they keep going, keep going, keep going, and they're still going. Next time you check on them, you haven't heard from them in 5 years, you go check on them, they're still going. They're still pushing. They're still getting better. They're still going. They have a very high IQ. You don't even know what their IQ is because they haven't reached the point where they quit. See, if somebody never quits, then their IQ is basically infinity. It's unlimited. They never reached it. And what I want you to figure out and what I want you to think about as I'm getting into these points here is, what is your IQ? How far can you go? How many times can you face a setback? How many times can you be climbing up and get knocked down? How many times can you think you got the solution and find out that you did not have the solution before you just say, you know what, forget it. I'm not trying anymore. Let me do something else. This is obviously not going to work. This doesn't work for anybody. Yeah, it worked for all 5,000 of them, but it just doesn't work for me. How many times before you quit? How many times before you just give up? And that's just something I want you to keep in mind. We haven't even gotten into the points yet here. So let's get into the points. Point number 1, the topic, for those of you who came in the middle of my introduction here, the topic is you must be challenged in order to grow in life. And every question, comment that anybody has about this topic, I will take at the end once I get through these points. Point number 1, I want each and every one of you to be very aware. I want you to beware when you are surrounded by people who co-sign everything you do, everything you say, and everything you think. I want you to be very careful if you find yourself surrounded by a whole bunch of co-signers. Some people may call them yes men, but I don't necessarily mean that they're yes men. Aaron on Facebook, what's good? Your first time, glad you're here. Congratulate yourself on being here. When I say co-sign everything you do, doesn't necessarily mean they're a yes man or a yes woman, that they just say yes to everything you do even if it's dumb. What I mean is people around you who, even if you say something stupid, if you're about to do something stupid, if you're taking some action that is reckless, is going to make you worse or could put you in a dangerous situation, the type of people who won't say anything to you, but then after the situation, when it's over, they'll say, you know what, I knew that might be a bad idea. I was almost about to say something, but I didn't. Or they just sit there and watch you do something that puts you in a bad spot, and they don't say anything, they don't intervene, and they just let you do something dumb. And you might be that same way with them as well. You got to be wary when you have only these type of people around you, because they will watch you walk off the edge of a cliff and nobody's going to stop you. And the reason why I'm bringing this up as the first point, because when you have people around you who co-sign everything that you do, you need to have at least one person. Every business needs to have this. Every team needs to have this. Every organization needs to have it. Every family needs to have at least one person in that group who is, in business, they used to call this the wet blanket man. Y'all know what the wet blanket means? You know what it means when they call somebody a wet blanket person? The wet blanket person is the person who, in every group, it don't matter if it's a group of 3 people or a group of 300 people, it has to be at least one individual who, whenever there's a great idea, whenever everybody's thinking about doing something, whenever everyone seems to be on the same page to go do this thing right here, is the one person who speaks up and says, hold up, have we looked at every possible angle here? Here's how this might not work. Here's why we shouldn't do this. Here's where this might maybe go wrong. Here's where we have a bad idea. Here's where we are just thinking about the upside, but we haven't considered the downside. Let's look at this situation again before we jump in not knowing what the hell we're doing. Before we jump in with both feet and put ourselves in a precarious position. In any business, if we have any entrepreneurs in here or anybody who works in a business, the accounting department, y'all know the accounting department in a company? Usually you find wet blanket individuals in the accounting department because they're the people who count the money. They're the people who know how much we can afford to spend, how much we can't afford to spend, what is a good business decision, what doesn't make sense business-wise given our financial state. They're the people who will say, hey, Mr. Entrepreneur, I know you got 20 great ideas, but we can't afford 15 of these ideas, so you're going to have to pick 5, and the other 15 we're going to have to throw away because you ain't got the money. Well, here's your bank account right here. Here's your statement. Here's our P&L. You can't afford that. The wet blanket person is the person who's watching the details, the person who will call you out, the person who will say, listen, I know all y'all got this great idea that we just smoked all this weed and drank all this alcohol, but I'm not getting in the car with y'all because somebody's going to die because none of us is a designated driver tonight. That's the wet blanket person, the person who takes the parade that we're all having because we're all hyped up on our emotions and kind of rains on it and calms everybody down. You need to have a wet blanket person in your circle in life who lets you know you don't have to be a business owner, and they don't have to necessarily be a negative person. This has got to be the type of person who will check you and they don't have a problem with you having a problem with them checking you. Let me say that one more time. You need a person in your circle who will check you when you're out of line, and they don't mind that you don't like the fact that they checked you. And here's your job. You need to be mature enough and disciplined enough that when somebody checks you for doing something that was dumb, you might be upset with them in a moment, but when you have a chance to think about it and you realize that what they checked you on actually helped you, you need to be mature enough to go to that person and say, yo, I appreciate you for pulling me aside and telling me what I needed to hear at that moment when everybody else was just telling me what I wanted to hear. If your circle is full of people who tell you what you want to hear, they just tell you how great you are and how everything you do is right and how every idea you have is smart, then you got to be wary of that circle that you got. You might need to change your circle up. And change your circle. By change your circle, I don't mean get rid of all your friends. I mean you need to insert at least one person into that circle who doesn't need you to be happy with them all the time. And any of you who become very successful at what you do, especially when everyone around you knows how successful you are, you got to be very careful of having these type of people around you, because these are the type of people who want to come around. People want to come around because they want to feel the fission that comes with your success. They want to be around your success and draft off the success that you have. And they're probably just going to tell you things that you want to hear so that they stay in your good graces, that you like them, and you keep them around. And most of the time when people become successful, they tend to start filling their circle with these yes men and yes women, people who co-sign everything that they do and say. They don't have anyone around them who's going to keep it real with them, so to speak, like we say in our culture. Who keeps it real with you in your circle? That's a question I want you to ask yourself. Who in your circle keeps it real with you? Who tells you when, I talked about it here in my book, Work on Your Game. There was this king in this country, this is just a parable, he was very powerful. Everybody knew he was the guy and everybody respected his position. And one day he was arguing with one of his ministers, or he was at some political meeting and they're arguing. These guys are face to face arguing. And the guy that the king was arguing with said to him, he told him that his breath smelled bad. He said, you got bad breath. And the king thought to himself, wait a minute, how did you notice I had bad breath? Nobody else ever told me. So the king went back to his palace, his home that night, right? And he said to his wife, hey, sweetie, hey, honey, this guy, when I was at work today, I was arguing with him. He told me that my breath was bad. You smell my breath every day. Why did you never tell me that I had bad breath? Because the king, he hadn't eaten anything. It wasn't because of his food or anything like that. This was his normal everyday breath. So he said to his wife, why did you not tell me that I had bad breath? And his wife said to him, well, honey, I thought all men's breath smelled the same as yours. She didn't know the difference. The problem for the king was not that his wife didn't know the difference, because it wasn't her responsibility. It was his fault that he didn't have anybody in his circle who would have told him, hey, your highness, you might want to pop one of those Listerine strips or chew some gum before you get in somebody else's face because your breath is bad. But nobody had ever told him because he didn't have anybody in his circle who would have kept it real with him. My question for you is, who in your circle keeps it real with you? There's a story. I talked about this in my master class in my podcast before once. Again, this is another parable. There was a family of mice. The little squeaky things with the long tails. Family of mice living in a house. And they were living pretty well in this house, eating the little scraps of food that fell on the floor. The mice were thriving in this house. And what happened is, Neo was good, my man. And what happened is, the owner of the house, noticing that all these mice were in the house, they went and bought a cat. Now, I don't know if any of you have a cat. And I've never actually seen this, but I had somebody tell me once that cats chase mice, all right, and they're pretty good at catching them. And they catch mice, they kill them, they eat them, whatever they do to the mice. So the owner of the house bought a cat to get rid of all the mice. And the cat was doing his job. It started catching mice, killing mice. So mice would go out on an expedition to get some food, and they weren't coming back. So the mice are like, okay, they weren't stupid. They're like, okay, every time a mouse goes out, he ain't coming back. We need to do something about this. This is a problem that we got going on here. So they called the meeting. All the mice had a little meeting. They're like, all right, we got to figure out what to do about this damn cat, because this cat is killing us and we can't survive and thrive in this house with that cat around. So we got to figure out a solution to this problem. So they are brainstorming. Everybody's throwing out ideas. And finally somebody comes up with this great idea. Here's the idea. Why don't we take a bell and we put it around the cat's neck? Put a bell around the cat's neck. So every time the cat moves and every time the cat is coming around, the bell will ring. And then we'll be alerted that the cat is coming and we can get away and we can escape back to safety every time the cat comes around. So now the cat can't sneak up on us and kill us anymore. This is a great solution. So now all the mice are looking at it and they vote on it, they ratify it. Everybody's like, yeah, yeah. And they're having this big celebration because they figured that they have finally solved the problem of this cat that keeps killing all the mice. Now they're about to adjourn the meeting and just go on about their business until finally one mouse speaks up. And this is the wise old mouse. He was sitting in the back of the room. He didn't usually say much. He was a man of very few words, a mouse of very few words. And he speaks up and he says, wait a minute, everybody. Before we adjourn this meeting and think that we've solved this problem of the cat, there is one question that I would like to ask. And the question is this: who's going to put the bell around the cat's neck? And everybody went dead silent. Because even though the plan sounded great, put a bell around the cat's neck, so every time the cat moves, we could hear the bell. The problem was somehow the bell has to be installed around the neck of the cat. And in order for a mouse to do that, they would have to put themselves in danger of getting killed just to even put the bell on. And nobody had an answer to that question. And the sad ending to the story is they never figured that out. So most of those mice ended up dead. The point is this: how much, when I talk about responsibility all the time in these lives, if you've been watching them, on my masterclass, in my books all the time, who in your group is going to step up and say something when the plan just doesn't sound right, even though everybody else is like, this is a great idea? Maybe it's you. Now, who's going to do it for you, though? Point number 2. The topic, for those of y'all who came in the middle of this, we're talking about why you must be challenged to grow. There got to be somebody in your circle who challenges you. Point number 2, in situations of life, everything's easy when you're winning. If everything you're doing is easy, if everything you try is working, if every time you go out there you're dominating, you're the best, the problem is not that you're just so good that you're unstoppable and everything's going to work perfectly 100% for you in life. The problem is you might need a change of environment. You might need to go somewhere where you're going to be challenged. If you are winning, everything you do is winning, everything you try is working, every idea you have is popping off, everything you offer is just going straight to the moon, everything's working, you might need a change of environment. You're not challenging yourself, because I highly doubt you are just so good that you're just beating everybody just because, and it's not even hard. If you're not facing challenges, if you're not facing setbacks, if you're not facing hard problems, if you're not having to figure things out and scratching your head and wondering, how do I resolve this? How do I figure this out? If you're not finding yourself in those spaces mentally ever, it's probably because you're not challenging yourself. You're putting yourself in a position where everything's easy. You're staying in your comfort zone, and that's fine if that's the way you want to live. If you want to live in that space that you're in right now and never go outside of it, and this is just who you want to be for the rest of your life, and you're good with that, then I'm good with it too. But as I said at the top of this, I'm going to assume that if you're listening to a person live streaming talking about working on your game, why you must be challenged in order to grow, I'm talking about growth and development and moving forward and ascending and getting better in life, I'm going to assume that you want to do more than just stay in your comfort zone. I'm going to assume you want to do more than just stay where you're at. I'm going to assume you want to get better and go further. In order to go further, you're going to have to face a challenge. You're going to have to do something that you haven't done before. You're going to have to get better somehow, some way. So athletes will come to me and they would say things like, Dre, I'm considering going to 2 different schools. A player would say, I got 2 different high schools I could play at. I could go to this school where, or they might say I could be on JV or I could be on varsity, something like that. They say I could go to this team where I'll be the star because the team's not very good. I'll be probably the best player on the team. I'm going to start every game, play every game, the whole game, and I can score a whole lot of points and get great stats and all that. Or I can go to this team over here where the players are all really good. There's a bunch of kids that already got scholarships. I don't know if I'm even going to start. I might come off the bench. I'm definitely not going to play as much. I'm definitely not going to be the star player. But I don't know. I don't know which one should I play for. Which team should I get on? And I always tell them this: it depends, and I'll tell you what it depends on. If option A, you decide you just want to play and have fun and just get the experience and put up stats and get the video and be able to brag to your friends that you did this and that, then hey, go to the lower team where you could dominate and score your points and have fun, because you're probably not going to go too far in the game anyway. So just go there and get your stats playing against weaker competition, playing with weaker competition, and wherever it goes, and that's fine, because you're going to be out of the game pretty soon. If, on the other hand, you are looking to ascend, you're looking to go higher and go further and go farther in the game, then you must always take the toughest choice available. That's the principle. That's the way it works, and that's the way you make the decision. Aaron, I'll answer your question at the end of the stream. I have an answer for that, so make sure you stay tuned. I'll answer that. Everybody who has a question, I'll answer it at the end. If you plan on getting better in whatever you do, whatever you're involved in, you must always take the toughest choice available to you to make yourself better. That means in terms of competition. All right, so I'm not saying in everything in life. All right, if it's easier for you to go down this street than go into the traffic, then go down the street, then there's no traffic. But I'm talking about as a competitor, if you want to get better, you must choose a team where you're going to be challenged. Choose a team where you're going to have to earn your playing time. Choose a team where you might get your butt kicked in practice every day. Choose a team where somebody might score 30 on you. Don't choose a situation where you can just dominate and be the guy, because what are you actually proving? Maybe it'll help you, you'll have fun, and maybe it'll build your confidence a little bit. But if you're really that good, you'll take the opportunity that's going to be the challenge where you're going to have to push yourself to get better. I mean, look at basketball players. Look at somebody like Kobe Bryant. Coming out of high school, he was the best player in the nation. He had scholarship offers from a bunch of colleges. He could have went to college and continued on his steady progression to be a great basketball player. But instead, he said, you know what? I'm going to jump into the deep water and go straight to the NBA, and I'm going to test myself against those guys. Now, if Kobe had failed, had he faltered in the NBA, he might have been out of the league in 3 years, and we wouldn't be talking about him right now. Nobody would even remember Kobe Bryant. Some of y'all not even old enough to remember back then. You wouldn't even know who Kobe Bryant is. But because he survived, and because he did more than survive, he thrived eventually in that area, Kobe became Kobe. And he became a success story of somebody who jumped straight into the deep water. And you might not be considering going from high school to the league, but you could at least go from the team you were on to the tougher team rather than go to the weak team just so you can score a whole bunch of points. Are you trying to challenge yourself, or are you trying to coast? Are you trying to cruise? What are you trying to do with yourself? Where are you trying to go? If you're trying to go to the highest possible level, you should always take the toughest challenge, because you don't have unlimited time. Time itself is infinite. Time will go on forever, but each one of us, we won't go on forever. Our time is short. Our time is limited. Our time is finite. So if you take your time and say, all right, I'm gonna take this easy step right now. That's a little bit harder than where I was, but it's not that much. Then another easy step, another easy step, another easy step. Eventually you're gonna run out of time to utilize your talent, to utilize your skill, and get the most that you can get out of your opportunity that we all have here called life. Okay? Unless your challenge is happening unless you're in a situation, you're at the highest possible level, and everything you do is so easy, you're just dominating, you must be the best in the world. All right, unless that's you, all right, unless you're the person who every situation is so easy that you're beating everybody and you're already at the highest level, then there's another level that you could be going to. There's another level you can get to. You're not there yet. I don't know why you're playing around in the kiddie pool. You're playing around at the JV level, metaphorically speaking, of what you're doing. But if you're serious about getting to the best level, if you're serious about getting better, understand that you don't have forever to figure it out. You don't have forever to get up there. You need to get up there as quickly as possible, and then you need to figure it out. All right? As my college coach once said to me, jump off the cliff and build your wings on the way down. That's the way that it works, or grow your wings, or whatever you want to call it. Point number 3. The topic here today is you must be challenged in order to grow. For anybody who has a question or comment, I will address it at the end of this. This is the third and final point. The biggest businesses in life. Any of you think of a big business? Apple is a big business. The computer company, that is. Who else is a big business? Chiquita, that makes the bananas, they're a big business. Toyota is a big business. Mercedes-Benz, big business. Who else is big? Barnes & Noble, the bookstore, is a big business. You think of any big business out there. No, Listerine, mouthwash, big business. Colgate toothpaste, big business. Whole Foods, big business. All these companies are big businesses. What makes them big? You ever thought about that? What makes these companies so big? Why are they so good? Why do they generate so much money? Why does everybody know their names? What is it about these companies that make them so big and so formidable and so known? And you could say their name and everybody knows exactly what you're talking about. Even if you don't shop at Whole Foods, you know what it is. Even if you don't have Apple products, you know what Apple is. Even if you don't use Google, you know Google. Even if you don't wear Nike, you know what Nike is. What is it about these companies that makes them so big? I'm going to tell you. Big businesses solve the biggest problem for the most people. They find the biggest challenge that they can possibly find, and then they solve it. And then they market that resolution, that solution to the biggest challenge, they market it to the world, and they exchange that solution for your money. And that's how they become a big business. So what's the solution? You think of any big company. Anybody here can name a company. I'll tell you what problem they're solving. I'll tell you what challenge they discovered, how they solved it, and why they make a lot of money for it. So anybody want to test me, go ahead and name a company, I'll answer it. Let's start with Walmart. I read Sam Walton's book when I was probably in college when I read Sam Walton's book. That's the guy who originally started Walmart. He called it Walmart, of course, named it after himself. The challenge that he was resolving was that he knew that not everybody wanted to go to the luxury stores. He knew there were some people in Bentonville, Arkansas, where he started Walmart, who wanted to go to a nickel and dime store. That's what they called it, a 5 and 10 store, where you could buy things literally for 5 or 10 cents back in the day, and just get everything they needed for a very low price consistently. And all Sam Walton did was figure out how to do that and how to scale it and how to have one store. He started with one store, then he built another one, then another one, and another one, and now Walmart is one of the biggest sales companies in the world in any business, any retail division. Walmart is one of the biggest in the world. Sam Walton's heirs, he had I think he's on his grandkids now who are running Walmart. There's 6 of them. The last time I looked, I think it was either 5 or 6 of them. And they're all worth $15 billion each. Not total, each. Because of what Sam Walton put together. Kaiser, I don't even know what Kaiser is. So you're going to have to tell me what Kaiser is. I can't answer that. Somebody said Nike. What problem did Nike solve? I read Phil Knight's book, another guy. If y'all want to learn, get good advice on mindset and business, read the books of people who started companies that have become worldwide companies. Steve Jobs, Phil Knight for Nike, Sam Walton for Walmart, and any other company you can think of that's big. Go find out who started that company and read their book. Guaranteed they wrote a book or somebody wrote a book about them. Phil Knight, I read his book. Phil Knight talked about, he was watching this guy. Well, it was this guy named Steve Prefontaine, who was Kaiser Permanente. I don't know what they do, so I can't answer that one. There's a guy named Steve Prefontaine who was one of the best distance runners in America. He was a young guy. He was in his early 20s, and he lived out in Oregon, where Phil Knight was from. And Phil Knight used to be a runner in college. But Phil Knight stopped being a runner. He didn't become a professional runner, but he went to races still and watched runners. And everybody knew Prefontaine because Prefontaine was like a local celebrity where he was from because he was a really, really good distance runner. And this guy, Steve Prefontaine, was doing a local meet where some other runners had come around and they were all trying to beat him because he was the star. And Prefontaine came from behind and just won this race. Unbelievable. It was either a mile or a mile and a half, something like that. Prefontaine won. The whole crowd was just going crazy, cheering. And because it was his hometown crowd that was cheering for him, he won that race. And Phil Knight talked about how hard he was cheering and how the whole crowd was just so behind Prefontaine. And Knight talked about the next day, he was talking about how he felt like the crowd had willed this guy, Steve Prefontaine, to come from behind and win the race. Because he was losing at first. And he came from behind and won. And he felt like the crowd did it. It was the energy of the crowd that pushed Prefontaine to win that race. And Phil Knight said, I was in the crowd watching the race, but the next day, my hamstrings were sore as if I had run in the race. That's what he said. He said, my hamstrings felt like I was running in the race, and that's because of just the energy that he felt trying to help push Prefontaine to win the race. And he said, that was my inspiration for starting Nike. I want every athlete to feel like that when they put on our gear. I want every athlete to feel like the energy of the champion athlete. Any of you owning Nike gear, you know they had a little tag on there that says, engineered to the exact specifications of championship athletes. And it was inspired by guys like Steve Prefontaine and, of course, the athletes we know now. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Mia Hamm, all these athletes who are Tiger Woods, all these athletes who become great champions. Phil Knight's whole vision was I want the everyday person, when they put on some Nike gear, for that hour that you're in the gym or that 20 minutes that you're working out, even if you're an accountant by day, I want you to feel like that champion athlete while you got our gear on. That's the way that I want everyone to feel. And he realized, because back then, y'all got to realize, back in the day, it wasn't normal to look outside and see somebody jogging for exercise. That wasn't a normal thing. Like, what are you doing? Running in the street. You might get arrested by the cops running in the street. You might think you're a criminal trying to get away from the scene of a crime. Back then, this was not a normal thing. Nike was one of the reasons it's become a normal thing for people to just work out just to work out. Back then, the only people you seen exercising were athletes, like actual athletes. Like you play on a team at some college or professionally, and nobody else was working out. There wasn't any everyday person working out just to work out. That was not a thing. Instagram models working out and Instagram athletes working out and doing squats and all this stuff just to put on YouTube. That was not a thing. It became a thing because of people like pioneers, like people like Phil Knight. That was the problem that he realized people had. They didn't even know that was a problem. That was a challenge that needed to be solved. They didn't even know it was a challenge. Steve Jobs did the same thing. He didn't know. The world wasn't telling Steve Jobs, hey, we need a whole bunch of these little devices that we hold in our hands that get on the internet, that can play music, and can make phone calls all at the same time. Nobody was asking for that. Steve Jobs had the vision to see people wanted this before they even knew they wanted it. And that's the challenge that he resolved. So his challenge was, what problem do people have they don't even know they have? And that's why Apple is a whatever it's worth. Andy says, Kaiser's the biggest hospital system in the nation. Well, I don't need to know that, but okay, now I know. The biggest hospital system in the nation. All right, what problem do they solve? All right, people get sick. People get injured. People might think that they're sick. They might think that they're injured, but they're not. But they want to go to a hospital to make sure. So they go to the hospital. Kaiser solves that problem by having hospitals. So every challenge that people have, the person who figures it out, how to solve that challenge and solve it at scale, becomes big. Because they can market that solution to the public. They can charge money for the solution. You pay, you get what you want, they get what they want. Everybody wins. So if you want to create money for yourself, you want to create attention, you want to be loved, you want people to look up to you, you want to help people, you want to make a mark on this world, you want to leave a legacy, what you need to figure out is, what challenge are people having that I can help solve? How can I get it to them? How can I get it to as many people as possible? As simply as possible, with as little friction as possible. And then once you figure that out, then you can charge people for that solution. If you're really solving a challenge that people have, they'll pay for it. If people have a challenge and you can solve it, they will pay for it. If you got a smartphone, which everybody has, and you drop it on the ground, there's a big crack going right down the middle, and you can barely use the phone because you can't see stuff on the screen anymore. There's somebody out there who fixes broken iPhone screens or Android screens. They are solving your challenge, and because they solve your challenge, you'll pay to get that screen fixed. Now, it works on a micro level, it works on a macro level. When you solve a challenge, you grow. When you solve a challenge, you get paid. When you face a challenge and stare that challenge down and overcome a challenge, you move up to a higher level. If you are not moving up to higher levels, you find that you're stagnant in your life, and you find that you're just staying in the same spot, you feel like you're not growing, you feel like you're not getting any better, you feel like you're running on a treadmill right now and not moving, the problem is you're not being challenged. When's the last time you were challenged? When's the last time you really told yourself, I'm going to face this challenge, I'm not sure I can do it, but I'm going to go for it? When's the last time you did that? If you're feeling stagnant in life, I'm 99% sure it's because you're doing the same things that you already knew you could do, the stuff that you've been doing, and you're not challenging yourself, which is why it feels stagnant, because you ain't going anywhere. Of course you feel stagnant. You feel stagnant because you are stagnant. If you want to grow, seek out challenges. Right now, ESPN, we got the Michael Jordan docu-series, well, Chicago Bulls / Michael Jordan docu-series running. And what was Michael Jordan all about? Michael Jordan was all about competition. But Michael Jordan, you're like, well, how did Michael Jordan find competition? He was winning all the championships. His last 8 years with the Chicago Bulls, not 8, 6 years with the Chicago Bulls, he won a championship each time. So what was Michael Jordan's drive? What was his determination? He was making challenges out of everything. He found a challenge in every little thing. Mike talks about this in all his books. Anybody who wrote a book about Mike talks about it. When y'all watch the rest of the series, y'all going to see it. He's going to talk about it. All he did was look for challenges in everything he did. When he went up for his first championship, all right, it was like Michael Jordan against Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson's the team player. Michael Jordan's the individual player. Michael Jordan wanted to prove that a guy could score a whole lot of points and be the individual player. He didn't think himself that, but people were calling him that, and he could still win a championship. He wanted to prove that. That was the challenge. Of course, he beat Magic Johnson. The next year, which I think is coming in the next video, the next episode in the series, going against Clyde Drexler. People said, oh, Clyde Drexler and Michael Jordan, they're the two best players in the game. They're the two best shooting guards in the game. Michael Jordan said this, what I'm about to tell you, on one of his VHS tapes from back in the 90s. So this is how I know about it before it even comes out. Michael Jordan said, I respect Clyde, but I want everybody to understand. This is before the finals. I want everybody to understand there's a clear difference between Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler. That was his challenge. His challenge was, I want to make sure everyone knows that me and Clyde are not equals. And, of course, we know what happened. He won the championship, beat Clyde. The next year, Charles Barkley, Phoenix Suns. Charles Barkley won the MVP that year. Charles was dominant that year. I actually wanted to see Charles win. I thought the Phoenix Suns might beat the Bulls that year. And Charles Barkley got the MVP. Now, Michael Jordan was probably the best player in the league. He should have got MVP. It's like anytime, like for many years, not now, but many years, LeBron didn't win the MVP. Be like, how LeBron was not MVP? LeBron was better than this guy, that particular year, but he didn't get the MVP. Michael Jordan should have got MVP in '93. Charles Barkley got the MVP. So Michael Jordan used that as his motivation. I'm going to get Charles Barkley got the MVP over me. Okay, now I got to beat Charles Barkley to prove that they were wrong for giving him the MVP. And another thing that Mike said about winning that title in '93, he wanted to win 3 championships in a row because his contemporaries, the people who were supposedly better than him up when he was coming up, was Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas. None of them had ever won 3 championships in a row. The Lakers won 2 in a row. The Celtics only had 3 total. They never won 2 in a row. The Pistons won 2 in a row. Now, the Bulls only had 2 in a row. Mike wanted to win 3 in a row to make sure that he separated himself clearly from all those other guys. Like, now, I got 3 in a row. None of y'all ever did that. He said that. I wanted to make sure I had something that separated me from them. Then when he came back, all right, best record ever. That was the challenge. Let's get the best record in history. He did it. Proved that the game has not passed him by. Because when they lost in '95 to Orlando, people said, oh, Michael Jordan's done. The game's passed him by. Pippen's better than Jordan. Penny Hardaway and Shaq are better than Jordan. The East belongs to the Orlando Magic. Mike said, I stopped all that conversation. 96. 97, they gave the MVP to Karl Malone. Why they gave the MVP to Karl Malone, I don't know. Jordan should have been MVP in 97. They gave the MVP to Karl Malone. Michael Jordan used that as a challenge. All right, let's beat the Utah Jazz. Beat them. 98, all right, this is our last dance. Let's use that as a challenge. This is my last time. Let's just get this championship. So I got 6 of them. That's 1 more than Magic Johnson. Magic had 5. Now I got to get 1 more than Magic. Now I got 6. The only person he didn't catch was Bill Russell, who had 11. I don't think he was going to play long enough to get 11. But every time, he was finding a challenge for himself. And this is what people do to move ahead, to advance, to get better in life. They are always looking for a new challenge. Kobe Bryant was always looking for a challenge. Now, I ain't going to put Kobe on the level of Michael Jordan. I mean, he's a level below. Jordan's up here kind of by himself. But then there's everybody else. Kobe was always looking for a challenge. Always looking for a way to make himself better. Other people in other areas. Tom Brady, always looking for a challenge. Steve Jobs always trying to find a way to make his company better. Sam Walton, after he started Walmart, and Walmart dominated. Like before Amazon became as big as it is now, and it wasn't so much online selling, Walmart dominated for years when it came to retail. They still do damn well. All right, they still doing pretty good. A lot of people use Amazon, but Walmart did damn well and dominated for a long time. And Sam Walton, people don't even know this. Y'all read his book, he'll tell about this. He would go into other people's stores, other general stores, and he would pay attention to how they place the item. You know when you walk into like a CVS or a Walgreens or a grocery store, how they got like certain items that's on sale right at the end of the aisle, the end caps? Sam Walton would study that stuff. What do they got on sale? What do they put on the top? What do they put in the middle? What do they put at the bottom? How do they do the lighting in the store? Next time you walk in the grocery store, look at the lights up on the ceiling. He would study how they did the light. He would study the way the employees would talk to you. He would study the way they did the checkout line. You know when you go to the grocery store and you put all your stuff on a little belt and they move it up and then they check it out and they check you out and they make you pay at the cashier. He would study how they did that. This is after Walmart was already dominating. He would still do these things because he was challenging himself. I want to make this store as good as I could possibly make it, even down to the last detail. And this is why I'm mentioning his name. He's been dead for, I don't know how long ago he died, 20, 30 years. But he started a company that still lasts. His name still lasts, and his great-grandkids are billionaires because of the fact that he continued to look for challenges in his life. Question is, how often are you looking for challenges? All that said, I'm going to recap these points. I'm going to tell you about these 2 publications that I have sitting here in front of me, and then I'm going to answer any questions anybody got. So if you got a question related to this topic, go ahead and post it in the comment section. Make sure it's a good question and keep it short. The topic again today is why you need to be challenged in order to grow. Challenge definition is a task or situation that tests someone's abilities. People would sometimes get upset with me if I wouldn't answer their question directly, but usually when I don't answer someone's question directly and I throw a question right back at them, I'm challenging them to think. And sometimes people don't like to be challenged to think. People don't like to be challenged to act. People don't like to be challenged to figure things out on their own. And when people don't want to be challenged for that, you can rest assured they're probably not going to go too far in their lives. So if you bristle at challenges, you need to re-examine yourself if you're really serious about getting better. Point number 1, beware when you are surrounded by people who co-sign everything you do, think, and represent. If there are people around you, you need somebody around you who will second guess you, play devil's advocate, and not just go along with the group, because if everybody's co-signing everything you do, eventually they're going to co-sign you doing something dumb, and you're going to hurt yourself. Without that, you will fall into groupthink, and everybody's just going to agree with everybody just because that does not work for growth. It works for everybody getting along, but it doesn't work for winning. Point number 2, in situations it is easy to, if things are always easy and you're always winning, it means you need to change your environment because you are not being challenged in that environment. This is why Michael Jordan left basketball and went and played baseball, because it wasn't any challenge in basketball. He kept beating everybody. He came back lost. He said, okay, now is the challenge, and he beat everybody all over again. But you need to find that challenge. If it's not a challenge for you, then you shouldn't be there, because it's going to make you worse. If you're not getting better, you are getting worse. If you're not being challenged, you can't get better. Point number 3, the biggest businesses solve the biggest challenges for the most people. The greatest leaders attack and handle the biggest challenges. The biggest leaders that we can think of are the people who handle the biggest challenges that most people will not be able to handle, that will be below most people's level of IQ, meaning I quit. George Washington is on the $1 bill. He was the first president. Why? A lot of people don't know why. George Washington was a general in an army, and they were fighting against the British to try to make America a free country. George Washington was leading this very small army that didn't have much weapons, didn't have much money. They weren't even a real army. They weren't even trained soldiers, and they were going against the British, who were super trained, highly efficient. They had these beautiful uniforms. They had the much better artillery, and George Washington figured out a way to beat those guys when everybody else was afraid. Everybody else was fleeing the scene. George Washington figured out a way to win. That's the only reason America is America today, and that's why George Washington, when America finally got its freedom from the British, they named him the president. He wasn't even trying to be the president. They named George Washington the president because of his bravery and the fact that he solved the biggest challenge that nobody else in the colonies wanted to solve at that time. Go read the story of George Washington and you would notice. And that's why they put him on the dollar bill, and that's why presidents only serve 2 terms. George Washington served 2 terms. They wanted him to just stay president forever like a king. George Washington said, I'm only going to do 2 terms, and he set a precedent, and that's why presidents only serve 2 terms to this very day, and then you're out, because George Washington set that precedent. And a lot of y'all don't even know George Washington's story, but y'all run around chasing money. Now, with all that being said, I'll tell you about these 2 books here in front of me. Both of these books, I'm going to tell you up front, these books are already paid for. I paid for the book. If you want these books, all you got to do is take care of the shipping. I'm going to tell you what they are, what they're going to do for you, why you want them, and how to get them. This book right here is called The Mirror of Motivation. Subtitle is The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. I wrote this book so that you can light that fire inside of yourself and start being the person that you truly know you are, the person that you truly need to be. You know who that is. You know who you truly need to be. Maybe you're not showing it for whatever reason. Maybe you forgot. Maybe you're embarrassed. Maybe you think people are going to mock you. Maybe you think people will attack you. But whatever that person is within you, this book is going to help you light that fire to actually be that person that you truly need to be. And what's going to happen after that is you're going to start doing what you truly need to do, and you're going to get the results that you really want in your life. The way you get this, and what that means, let me tell you what that all is going to mean for you. It means you're going to separate yourself from 99% of people out here on this planet who are drifting through life with no real purpose, no real knowing who they are. They're just, wherever the wind blows, that's where they go. They don't know where they're going. They have no sense of direction, no sense of purpose, and they're just living the same life every day till they die. You want to be different from that? Get this book by going to mirrorofmotivation.com. The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. The book is free. You take care of the shipping. Mirrorofmotivation.com. This book right here, it's called The Overseas Basketball Blueprint. I wrote this book for anyone who wants to play professional basketball overseas. If you are even if you're like me, where you came from a small school, maybe you don't have any game film, no connections, nobody you know played overseas, you don't have an agent, you don't have any foot in the door for overseas ball, but you still want to play, or you want to give it a shot before your time is up, I feel you, and that's why I wrote this book. This is a 237-page guidebook to tell you everything you need to know, everything you need to do, and all the scams and pitfalls you need to avoid in order to play professional basketball in as short a time as possible. Because listen, we know athlete windows, they close very quickly. You don't have forever to figure out basketball. You don't have forever to be who you want to be. You don't have forever to do what you want to do on this court. You got a short window, so you better make the most of it right now. So if you want to travel the world, get paid to play ball, they pay for your travel, they pay for your food, they pay for your housing. All you gotta do is play basketball 2 to 3 hours a day. It is, trust me, the best job you could possibly have in the world. I'm an entrepreneur. Being a basketball player is a better job than being an entrepreneur because it's less work. All you gotta do is play ball every day and you get paid for it. You kidding me? balloverseas.com. This book is paid for. All you gotta do is take care of the shipping. balloverseas.com, Overseas Basketball Blueprint. Now, I'm going to take any questions that exist in the comment section. So if you got a question, go ahead and post it. Make sure it's a good question. Over here on Facebook, Aaron said, this conflicts with the not caring what people think mentality. Well, Aaron, what you need to understand, since this is your first time being on this live, I'll explain it to you now. I'm not going to explain it to you again, but I'll explain it to you this time. Wisdom and knowledge are 2 different things. Knowledge is knowing things. You just pointed out something that you know. All right. Wisdom is knowing when to use things that you know and when not to use them. Wisdom means being able to hold 2 different ideas in your head that may be in direct conflict with each other, but being smart enough to know when to use which piece of information and when to use the other piece, and when to ignore which piece and when to ignore the other piece. For example, one piece of advice says be the loudest person in the room and draw attention to yourself so everybody notices you. That's good advice, because sometimes you got to draw attention. There's another piece of advice that says be quiet and say nothing and don't draw attention to yourself, which is also good advice, because there are times in life when you should shut up and not draw attention and just be quiet and not make everybody notice you. You might want to just fall back sometimes. Both of them are good pieces of advice. The wise person, actually, let me back up. The foolish person, or the person who is uninformed, let's just say, they are trying to figure out, well, which one is it? Should I always be loud or always be quiet? The wise person understands that it's neither one of those, is that sometimes you need to be loud and sometimes you need to be quiet. When you are wise, you know when to use which information and when to ignore that exact same information. So, Aaron, my answer to your question is you got to know when to ignore information and when to use information. So yes, I'm telling you something here today that conflicts with something that I've said in the past, and I guarantee tomorrow I'm going to say something else that conflicts with something else I said in the past. Your job is to figure out when to use which piece of information that I've shared and when to use a different piece of information. And you only learn that through experience in life. All right, life is not a color by numbers, black and white, or if this happens, think this way, if this happens, think that way. That's not the way it works. You got to live life, you got to experience, and you got to learn when to use knowledge and when to ignore knowledge. But it's a good question. I'm glad you asked it so I can share that with everybody. Simeon said, yeah, some of y'all don't know who George Washington is. That's a fact. Or they don't know the story of George Washington. Yeah, they know who he is, but they don't know the story. But good point, Simeon. Thank you for sharing that. Facebook, y'all got a question, go ahead and post it in the comments section. So I'm taking questions now. I appreciate everybody who has listened to this message. Hopefully y'all been taking notes or something. Make sure you record this or do whatever you got to do. Katrina, I hope you made your decision. I already told you how to get the mirror motivation and get the work on your game book at the same time, how you can get both of these. Facebook, I just said you got a question, go ahead and post it. Rush to Dochi said, I'm from Boston. Oh, shout out to Boston. Gordy said, I'm from Boston too. So we got Boston in the house. Shout out to Boston. Swan checking in from Paris. Shout out to Paris. Harlem, New York. Shout out to Harlem. Shout out to the diplomats. Harlem, New York was good. Shout out to Cam, Jim Jones, Joel Santana. Lauren Tickner was good. Let's see. Do we have a question here? Said either be Bradley Beal or role player on amazing team. No, that's not ARB. The one you said about Bradley Beal is not a good parallel because the NBA is the highest possible level. So there's no JV in the NBA. So that's not a good parallel. So I got to reject that one. It usually happens when people try to paraphrase me. I'm trying to tell y'all, don't paraphrase me. When you paraphrase me, you mess up the message. You dilute the message. You're welcome, Aaron. I'm glad you stuck around to get that answer. A lot of people don't stick around to get the information. So I think you're on your way to somewhere good. You stuck around to get the information. That's a positive sign. Let's see. Do we have a question? Said too many people disrespect Charles nowadays because Shaq always clowns his 0 rings. No, I think the millennials who didn't see him play, people who saw Charles play don't know. We know what Charles was. I think some of you millennials, those y'all born in like after the year 2000, y'all didn't see Charles Barkley when he was Charles Barkley, so y'all don't know. But people like me, we know. I know what Charles Barkley was on that court. If you don't like to be challenged, you won't go far. That's a fact. Katrina said, I ordered on Amazon. I'm gonna get the mirror motivation on your website. All right, Katrina. But Katrina, if you would have got the mirror motivation on my website and then got work on your game on my website, you would have got a better deal. So you just spent some extra George Washingtons ordering on Amazon. I tell y'all this every day. And Katrina, I've seen you in here before, so I don't know why you did that. But hey, whatever way you want to get it, whatever way makes you happy, do what you got to do. As long as you get the book, I'm happy. But I mean, you could have got a better deal if you would have got it through me. You can still get your refund from Amazon and get it from us. That's the better deal. But it's up to you. It's your money. ARB says, no questions. Thank you very much. You're welcome. All right, so I'm going to tell you about these books one more time. If somebody got a question, and the time it takes me to tell you about these books, you go ahead and post it. This book right here, The Mirror Motivation, The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. You want to light that fire within yourself so you can be who you truly need to be, who you know that you are, but you haven't been shown. So you can do what you want to do. Let me explain something to y'all. When you change your energy, When you change the way that you think, when you change the way that you see yourself in the mirror, your actions will change. The way that you do the exact same action will produce a different result when you change the way that you think. So if you've been trying to do something over and over again, it's not working, and you just change your energy, you change the way that you think, and you do the same thing, you'll get a different result. Why? Because your energy changed. This principle is called the be, do, have principle. Change who you're being, it will change what you do, and it will change the results that you get. And guess what? There's a chapter on that in this book right here. The Mirror of Motivation. Get this at mirrorofmotivation.com. You want to play basketball overseas? balloverseas.com. Anybody who wants to play basketball overseas, get it here, balloverseas.com. If you got both of these books already, then you might as well get this one. It's called Work on Your Game. This is my whole philosophy, my whole framework put into 250 pages. I took the best stuff in my framework. If I took my whole framework and made it into a book, it would fill up this room. All right, that's how big it would be. But I took the best 250 pages to put in this book right here. Get this at workonyourgamebook.com, or as I told Katrina here, go to mirrormotivation.com. When you order this book, on the very next page, I'm going to make you a special offer to get this book and another book together in a package. That's a bundle that you cannot get anywhere else. You can only get it on that page, on that site that I just told you. So that's that. Everybody, I am going live again. You're welcome, everybody. Thank you, Rush Sudoshi. Katrina, I'm glad you got the book either way. Andy, that's what's up. All right, everybody, I'm going live every single day, 5:15 p.m. Eastern, every single day until further notice. Until you hear me say I'm not, I'm going live every day, 5:15 p.m. Eastern, Facebook/Work on Your Game. For those of y'all on IG who missed some of the stream and you want to watch the stream, go to my Facebook, which is Facebook/Work on Your Game, or just type my name in on Facebook. Y'all know how to find me. Type my name in on Facebook. Go to my Facebook page. All my streams are on Facebook as well, and they'll be there forever. And I will put this on YouTube, but it's not coming out on YouTube for it might be a month and a half before this video goes on YouTube, because I got a bunch of other videos and y'all know how it goes. So that's that. Or maybe you don't, but that's what it is. Somebody said, where can we ask you a question other than here? If it's a good question, you can send me a DM. Eyeball says, I've been waiting almost 2 weeks for the Mirror Motivation. How long does it take to ship? It already shipped. We sent you an email. If you ordered that long ago, we already sent you an email. Look for an email from team@workonmygame.com. We sent you an email when we shipped the book. But you'll get it. Trust me, you'll get it. COVID-19 has backed all the shipping up, so that's why it's taking as long as it takes. We normally don't take that long. But COVID-19 has backed up shipping because nobody's at work at the warehouses, so it takes longer. But just look up that email address I just told you, team@workonmygame.com, and you'll see the email. We gave you a shipping confirmation. So everybody, we are going live 5:15 p.m. Eastern every single day on Instagram, on Facebook. Y'all know what it is. Turn your notifications on. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Don't shake anybody's hand. Don't touch your eyes, nose, and mouth. We out of here. Dre all day.